Hey everyone, and welcome back to another edition of what has joined my movie collection. Guys, so everything I'm going to show you today has turned up through the month of January. So let's jump straight into it and start with this absolutely gorgeous premium one-click edition of Alita, Battle Angel. Guys, so this box set has come from a company called Black Barons, who operate out of Film Arena in the Czech Republic. So I think Black Barons are actually a Slovak team, but they do work very closely with the guys at the Czech Republic at Film Arena. I think they maybe have the same art department, or I know the actual owners of the businesses are close. So basically, the Black Barons editions can be purchased through the Film Arena website. And this is their first ever one-click box set, the first ever time they've produced a box like this. And they've done a great job. They really have for the first one. The artwork they've used, that print there was on the Worldwide Art Steelbook for Alita, so we have seen that art before. But the additions that they've created inside this, and just the weight and the feel of this is just, it's brilliant. So they've done a great job. I believe there are still a few collectors out there waiting to receive this. Now mine did arrive beginning of January, so I've been lucky enough to have this sort of presented on my shelf for nearly a month now. But there are some people still waiting because I think Black Barons weren't able to produce enough of them fast enough in order to get them all out at the same time. So guys, if you are still waiting for this, it is worth the wait. It is a beauty. We just open her up. It is magnetic, so it keeps it nice and sealed. We just open the front flap up and presented with awesome picture of Alita, and then we've got the custom steelbook that Black Barons have made for this release, and we've also got the two XL full slips as well. We've got the standard full slip and a double lenticular, so they've sort of copied the same style and designs of what Film Arena do with their extra large full slips. They just tend to be a little bit wider than other premium companies' releases, hence why they call them XLs. So if I just take those out, guys, I can show you exactly what you get in this box. So first of all, we'll start with the full slip, which is very, very nice in hand. Looks a little bit flat to begin with. Looks like there's not much sort of detailing in the picture until you sort of catch the light. When the light shines on it, you can see sort of the city in the sky, Alita's costumes, and also sort of the blood on her cheeks, under her eyelids, really highlighted. It almost comes to life once the light hits it. You can see the sort of extra sort of glossy material they've used for certain aspects of the slip, which is awesome. And they've done the same on the back as well with the characters and again the weapons and the city. So yeah, absolutely love this edition. It is very, very cool. And in standard fashion of these premium editions, we've got the steelbook, we've got art cards, character cards, and also sort of behind the scenes booklet as well. So even though, guys, I don't usually take these out because we've not got enough time, I'll just quickly show you, because if you still haven't seen sort of what's inside these editions other than the steelbook, this is just an example here. There's a booklet here, it says there, collector's cards, and if we open her up, we've got photo cards and character cards either side, and there's quite a few for each one, so there's a lot of, all the characters will have their own sort of artwork presented, and they look fantastic. The prints are such high quality, and they always are with these premiums. It's what you're paying the extra money for, is to have this extra sort of memorabilia, extra exclusive artwork. And yeah, really great editions. If you love the movie, it's nice to have all of that to enjoy. Now we also got in double lenticular in this release as well, which is also very, very cool. I love the colours that they've used on this one, with the sort of sunrise yellows sort of in the background, and then in the foreground we've got all the blues. It really does contrast nicely. So this this artwork here we have seen before used. This may have even been one of the posters, I believe, when the movie was released. Sometimes with lenticular covers, if there's a lot going on them, if it's very detailed and there's lots of small characters such as these down here in the corner, the closer you get to looking at them, the more pixelated they seem to get. But typically, you know, from sort of shelf distance, it still looks fantastic. So I'm very happy with how that turned out, and it, like I say, it is understandable. The more detail you put in a lenticular, they can get quite quite pixelated, but that's an awesome cover. And on the back here they've used artwork of Alita looking like towards the end of the movie when she's in that contest, skating away. So that's cool as well, also as a lenticular. And again, inside we've got a different set of character cards, different set of art cards, and a booklet as well. So typically if you want everything Alita related that these guys have produced, then this one-click edition is the way to go. And here's the custom steelbook that the guys produced for it as well. So they've released this in what's known as a quarter slip, which is one of these. Lots of standard steelbooks come with these. I know a lot of collectors who just throw these away. You know, when they're on the shelf, I'll be perfectly honest, I don't even display them in the slipcovers when they're on my shelf. I do have a box that I keep all of these in. I prefer to just present the steelbooks neatly as they are presented. So this is their custom steelbook that they made for Alita, and it is a beauty. It's absolutely awesome. Alita's all embossed in the foreground, which is cool. It sort of adds just a slight sort of 3D depth to the three characters. The title's all embossed as well, which is nice. And I absolutely love it when steelbooks sort of deboss the center and have like a framework around. You can just see as the light catches there. Quite a lot of steelbooks do that, and it kind of just frames it. Frames the central artwork as well, which is awesome. So this they've made especially for this release, so you can't get this steelbook anywhere else other than Black Barons. And what they did is use the same artwork that Film Arena used on their extra large premium full slip edition. Film Arena sort of jazzed up Alita's costume with lots of cool effects, lots of different colouring and stuff, but I'm glad they've used that imagery on the back of the steelbook because it looks awesome. And yeah, the steelbook features everything you could want from the movie release. We've got the 4K disc, we've got the Blu-ray, we've got the 3D Blu-ray, and we've got a special features disc. So 4 discs inside here. So if you are lucky enough to have a 4K TV or you're still rocking a 3D TV, then this has everything in it. So literally you only really had to purchase this edition to get everything. So yeah, very, very cool. So guys, that was Alita, Battle Angel, from the guys at Black Barons. Now, even though it is awesome, it wasn't my favourite premium of the month. That award goes to this absolute beauty here. This is so gorgeous. So this is from Everything Blue in the UK, one of the premium companies. I have mentioned them many times before. I do enjoy the work they put out. And this is an absolute stunner. This is so, so gorgeous. So this is Stephen Sommers' Mummy Trilogy, the Brendan Fraser trilogy. Silly, fun popcorn movies. I do enjoy them, I really do. So I'm very happy to pick that one up. Now, it's not the first time Everything Blue have released the Mummy Trilogy. A couple of years ago, maybe a year and a half, I'm not quite sure the exact time, they released the Book of the Dead, the Black Edition. Same steelbooks, and this was the Blu-ray version of the Mummy Trilogy. And in a faux leather packaging, the actual detailing is insane. It really is. It's got a soft sort of touch to it as well, being faux leather, and it is just an absolute beautiful piece. I know when collectors got their hands on this, one of my friends in America, he loved it so much he created a little mummy shrine to it. He had a few other bits of memorabilia around it, and he just had this sitting on a pedestal. It was such an awesome display. But I fell in love with this as soon as I got it. I thought it was one of my favourite pieces. And then when Everything Blue announced that they were going to re-release it in 4K as the Book of the Living, I was like, you have to get them both. You have to have them presented together. They will look amazing together, and they do. They really do. So even though Everything Blue did re-release the Book of the Living, also in Blu-ray for people who don't have 4K, I went for the 4K option because I didn't actually have the Mummy Trilogy in 4K, so it was nice to sort of get this to be different enough from this one. And again, I think they stated that this was going to be real leather this time, so it was a little bit more expensive, the packaging itself, but it's come out just as stunning, and the gold just looks amazing, especially next to the black. It just contrasted so well. So yeah, really looking forward to dipping back into these and giving them a watch. I haven't seen them yet in 4K, but I have always enjoyed them. They're silly, sort of fun, switch your brain off and just enjoy them. So yeah, that was Everything Blue Mummy Book of the Living edition. That is my favourite of the month, guys. I won't really get all the steelbooks out because they are just the Worldwide Art steelbooks. They were released across the world not too long ago, maybe a year and a half ago. But that one, guys, was my favourite. Now, I picked up two other single premium editions this month. Both of these were from an independent seller on Facebook, a very nice guy to deal with, very reliable. So these are both from Film Arena in the Czech Republic, again, similar to Black Barons. Now, I didn't buy these, obviously I've just mentioned I didn't buy these direct from Film Arena. These are two editions that did pass me by when they first came out. Believe it or not, I do miss a lot of editions. So, you know, often I do have to go hunting on the sort of resale market, trying to find them at a good price. And luckily I found one gentleman who was selling these together, and I needed them both for the collection. I've got Fast and the Furious 1 to 7, and I've got Jurassic Park 1 to 3 and Fallen Kingdom, but I was missing Jurassic World. So when this fellow was selling these, I started talking to him, and yeah, jumped at the chance. So very, very happy now I've been able to complete the set, because it's always a bit upsetting when you're missing one in the middle of a collection, or like Fast and the Furious 8 here. At the end of a collection. So yeah, this is absolutely amazing. When the light catches the Indominus Rex, you can see the scales are highlighted, which is a beautiful effect. It really is. And on the back artwork, we've just got the two young boys from the park. And inside we have got just the Worldwide Art Steelbook, but typical fashion that Film Arena do with their editions is they've put that lenticular magnet over the steelbook. Not a big fan of this transitional lenti. It's pretty cool the way it shifts, and you can see the three different dinosaurs that they've included, but they are illustrated. They are almost like a cartoon drawing of the dinosaurs. They're not photos from the movie. So it's not my favourite. I wouldn't have that presented on the shelf, but honestly for me it was all about getting this edition with the slipcover, because Jurassic Park had the classic T-Rex on the front, and then the other editions had all the other dinosaurs. The Fallen Kingdom, the latest one, had the Indoraptor. So it's nice to be able to present Jurassic World along with the rest of them. So very, very happy. And yeah, same with Fast and Furious 8, guys. There's not really much else to say about this one other than it completes a set. I have always been a fan of the series as well, as ridiculous as they get. And funnily enough, Fast and the Furious 9 trailer dropped yesterday, so it's funny I'm presenting this one now. And yeah, I know there's a lot of people out there that don't really like the movies. They're not going to win over the Criterion crowd or the Oscar organisation. But as far as just switch your brain off and just enjoy silly, fun, popcorn, flicks, just dumb action movies, they have turned into something completely else. So that was Fast and the Furious 8. So I am happy that has joined the collection also. So those guys were the premiums of the month. Now, I picked up just a couple of Arrow editions, not too many special labels this month, especially not after Black Friday. But what did arrive was an early Brian De Palma movie, Phantom of the Paradise. Now, guys, this was actually ordered on Black Friday, so way back end of November, and I'm finally been able to just present it now. In February. So I think this was a straggler over Christmas. It must have just been put at the bottom of the pile in the post office or the sorting centre. I'm not quite sure. They must have just sort of forgotten about this, and eventually it turned up sort of mid-January. So yeah, very happy. Haven't seen it yet. I am a big fan of Brian De Palma's work, so very happy that one finally did arrive after a couple of months. And I also received the Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas limited edition Arrow. So in one of their rigid hard boxes, we've got the behind the scenes booklet and a poster and the movie as well. Now, I'll be perfectly honest, guys, I don't like this movie. I've seen it 2 times in my life. Second time I thought I'll go into it again, seeing if it changes my opinion, and it didn't. I didn't enjoy it both times. As good as Johnny Depp and Benicio del Toro are in it, their acting's fantastic. I've never been a huge fan of Terry Gilliam anyway, and sort of these drug-fueled road trip movies, they don't really do much for me. So I know it is seen as a classic, and people out there are going to be saying, why the hell did I pick it up? I said again, time and time again, I'm going for a complete Arrow set, and also these limited editions, they're not around forever, so I didn't want to run the risk of having it miss the collection and then have to pay even more for it on the second-hand market. So I did pick it up brand new. Haven't watched it yet. Honestly, I've got no desire to watch it. I know people out there watching this video now are going to love the movie. They're going to be saying that they really enjoy it, but who knows, maybe one day if I do give it a third attempt, you know, 3 times the charm, it may sort of win me over. But from memory, watching it twice in my life, I haven't enjoyed it both times. So that was Fear and Loathing. Now, I also grabbed a few steelbooks, and one of them also was an Arrow edition. So I got 3 Arrows actually this month, and that was Brian De Palma's Carrie, another Brian De Palma movie. So I do already have Carrie in a limited edition rigid hardbox like you've just seen for Fear and Loathing, but when Arrow announced that they were releasing this steelbook, the artwork just blew me away. So typically, guys, some editions that I already own, if they're re-released with different artwork, and I do enjoy the artwork, I like the look of it, I'll order it just as a showpiece, just to actually have it in the collection to present the art itself. So this actually has exactly the same disc as what's in the limited edition, so I'll never watch this. There's no reason to watch it when I've already opened that one. But this was just solely to present it in the collection. I have recently created a new sort of little magnet Arrow steelbook section. So believe it or not, a lot of the Arrow steelbooks they release are always quite dark. They're always quite black. So that wall's looking a little bit dark and depressing. So when Arrow announced this sort of golden yellow fiery steelbook, I thought, my God, that will look amazing on the steelbook wall for the Arrow edition. So yeah, I picked it up, and I've always been a big fan of Carrie. I think it's a good Stephen King adaptation. Sissy Spacek is amazing in it, and I didn't realize when I'd ordered this steelbook off Zavvi that it actually had the title Carrie. I know it sounds silly, but when I was looking at it on the internet before ordering it, I didn't realize it actually had the title. It's only when it arrived and I was looking at it, realized that Carrie's written in blood, which is awesome. So yeah, that one, guys, has gone on display on my Arrow section, so that's cool. Now I also picked up from the UK, this one was an Amazon exclusive, Chernobyl TV show, the 4-part mini-series. This absolutely blew me away when I watched this on TV. A few of my friends here in Australia too, they caught it and we were talking about it afterwards. And honestly, guys, I didn't really know much about Chernobyl, other than obviously it was a nuclear disaster. But I really didn't know much about the after effects or even what people had to go through as soon as it happened. This TV show was honestly so authentic. It was just so scary and so harrowing. And Jared Harris was amazing in it. I mean, he was literally like they were filming a documentary almost. He was amazing. So this blew me away. So I know I wanted to own it, and when they announced it was getting a home release, I had to look around to see what editions were coming out. Germany had a nice media book, but initially I thought, no, I'd rather get a steelbook for this TV show, and Amazon in the UK have this one for sale. So guys, if you've never seen the TV show, it's only a 4-part miniseries. It doesn't have a sequel or anything like that. It's just a straight up really well made. A lot of money must have been pumped into it to give it the authenticity, and it really opened my eyes to sort of the disaster itself and the after effects of it. So that is Chernobyl, and it is amazing. Now, I also grabbed Joker, as I imagine a lot of people this month did. Also another amazing piece of entertainment. I could not believe how good the Joker was. I really couldn't. I've seen this 3 times now. Once at the cinema and now twice since owning this 4K steelbook. So this is the local steelbook that JB Hi-Fi got. This is the artwork that we got here in Australia. There was a premium company called Umania who have released a 1-click box for this steelbook, for Joker. And I think it does actually feature this artwork on one of their slips. Now, I had the opportunity to order it, and if I would be presenting it today. But I did decide to hold off because they were the first ones straight out of the bat with their release. Now, I know a lot of other premium companies out there are going to be releasing Joker as well. considering how successful the movie was. You know, I mean, it's universally praised, and Joaquin Phoenix deserves every single award they're going to throw at him. He really does. He's just incredible in it. Same with Heath Ledger when he portrayed Joker. Just unbelievable. So yeah, there was a premium by Umania. It had 3 different editions, 3 slipcovers. One of them was a beautiful lenticular that had Arthur Fleck's face on the side, and then when you moved it, it changed to Joker's face paint and absolutely looked amazing. Everybody who sort of received it, I've seen videos, I've seen in-hand photographs from people, looked incredible. If you are one of those collectors watching this now that got one of those, congratulations, you have a great edition. I decided though to hold off to see what the other premium companies are going to release of it. HD Zeta, who do a lot of DC one-click lenticular editions, they have announced they're doing a copy. Manta Lab as well, I believe, are going to be doing a one-click edition, and no doubt Film Arena and the Czech Republic are going to pick it up as well because it was so successful. So I do have a feeling that other premium companies are going to use that same artwork that Umania used. So typically, guys, that's why I'm showing this steelbook today and not a premium release of Joker, even though there is one out there. I've just sort of bided my time with it. So yeah, that is my edition of Joker currently, but there will be more to come in the future. Now, I also picked up from DC to Marvel, it happens quite a lot in these videos, Doctor Strange 4K steelbook. So again, it got this new artwork. It makes it look like an old collectible sort of character card, which I think is very cool. It matches all the other set. Best Buy released these, and also Zavvi as well, so I get mine through Zavvi because it's a lot easier for me to acquire here in Australia. Zavvi have just announced the final 2 4K releases, Ant-Man and Guardians of the Galaxy, so they go for pre-order very soon. I'll make sure I get my name down for them, and then I'll have a full set, and it'd be nice to actually do a full MCU marathon in 4K, maybe one a night over a whole month. Not that I really have that time to spare with these movies, but it'd be nice to do. So yeah, big fan of that one. That's going to go on the Marvel Steelbook wall. Now, from Germany, I also grabbed this steelbook of a movie called Darling. Now, up until recently, I had no idea this existed, and it's very cool. The steelbook actually has debossing on the title, which is very, very cool. So this is a sequel to a movie called The Woman, which came out in 2011. I think it was Lucky McGee directed it. I enjoyed it. I've only seen it once. I have it in the collection, and it did blow me away when I watched it. I had no idea what it was about. I had no idea, you know, the director, the stars, nothing, but I did really enjoy it. And it was only up until recently I realized that there was a sequel called Darling, and the woman from The Woman, Pollyanna McIntosh, she actually directs this one, and this movie focuses on her character's daughter in it. So I'm looking forward to giving this one a go. I was going to watch it a couple of weeks ago when it arrived, until I was speaking to another friend here in Australia who actually told me there's a third movie, an original, a first movie called Offspring, which, even though The Woman might not be a direct sequel, it's almost like a spiritual successor to it. So it's by the same author, and I think it focuses again on maybe the same characters. I'm not too sure. So I did jump online and find a copy of Offspring on Blu-ray, which is currently coming through the post at the moment. So I've held off watching Darling until Offspring arrives, and then I'll actually have a trilogy of them. I'll watch Offspring, I'll watch The Woman, and then I'll watch Darling. So yeah, very, very surprised. That sort of came out of nowhere. I hadn't read anything about the movie being released. I hadn't seen any trailers, so finding out there was a sequel to a movie I enjoyed was a bit of a shock. Now, last but not least, in the standard steelbooks was this absolute turkey, Howard the Turkey. This is awful, guys, absolutely awful. Steelbook's great, but the movie itself, I think it's like ranked maybe 21, 22 on the worst movies ever made, and it is justified. It really is. Saw it years ago when I was younger, and I thought, what is this? What am I watching? And this steelbook, I had no idea was arriving. I'd ordered the Zavvi exclusive sort of Marvel Loot Crate box that they announced before Christmas, and they stated it was going to come with an exclusive Marvel steelbook you couldn't get anywhere else. So I thought, okay, that's interesting. It's always nice to sort of have something arrive you're not quite sure what's in it, almost like a gift. And when I opened the box and it turned out to be Howard the Duck, I one part of me thought, my God, what an absolute rubbish film. And then another part of me thought, well, I don't even own a copy. So it actually worked out well for the collection that now I can have this in the Marvel collection and my general collection. Um, yeah, I did even give it another go. I watched it again when it arrived, thinking maybe, time might have been kind to it. Nah, it hasn't. It really is bad. If you've never seen it, guys, believe what you've heard. It is an absolute stinker. So, yeah, poor George Lucas having his name attached to this isn't good. But I'm sure there are a lot of people out there that probably do enjoy it. It's so bad, it's good. But for me, it's so bad, it's bad. So, Howard the Duck was the last steelbook that arrived this month. Now, I placed an order in Germany for some media books. And the first one, guys, some of these covers on these media books, I will say, they're a little bit gory, a little bit graphic. So if you are quite squeamish, you might want to look away now. I'm probably going to have to put one of those YouTube statements up at the beginning of this video saying it's not suitable for children. Because this was the first one that arrived, Necronomicon. Now, this was the reason I placed the order from Germany, because this movie is incredible. This is an anthology movie, 3 H.P. Lovecraft stories. Jeffrey Combs in the center of it, playing H.P. Lovecraft. He breaks into a sort of restricted area in a library to have a look at the Necronomicon to get some inspiration for his story. So Jeffrey Combs is in prosthetics to make him look more like H.P. Lovecraft, and he would have absolutely loved the role. I mean, he loves the character. He loves Edgar Allan Poe, that type of thing. So I've always enjoyed watching Jeffrey Combs. And I love this movie, this anthology movie. I love all 3 stories that are told. As Jeffrey Combs is reading through the Necronomicon, we're then getting to see these stories he's reading. The third one in this, I think it's called Whisperers, is my favourite. It's absolutely brilliant. But also the scenes that appear between him reading the 3 stories is just as good. Like this scene here towards the end of the movie where he's pulling back the skin on one of the librarians, it's super gross, and it's full of sort of practical effects for that time, for that era, and that's why I love it. Again, 80s horror movies that have practical effects, they're just amazing. So this media book here, this did release in 3 different art covers, as a lot of these media books do, cover A, cover B, and cover C. I chose this one. I love the greens and the yellows. I thought that colouring is amazing. I really did like this artwork. It sort of appealed to me the most out of the 3. Now, what happens if you pre-order these in advance? Typically, you get a little thank you card from the artists themselves, which is such a neat touch. It's signed at least, and I was so surprised that I got number 1 of 150. So that was just an amazing experience to sort of open that up and see, actually, that's a number 1. So that's cool. That is really, really cool. So that's going to get presented on the shelf with the edition. I'm very, very proud of that one, and I watched that the weekend it arrived, because I've always, Necronomicon, especially on Blu-ray, was awesome. So, guys, another 2 media book editions that I also picked up on the same order, also starring Jeffrey Combs. I had a bit of a Jeffrey Combs marathon this month. Rexosaurus, or as you probably more commonly know it, Dr. Mordred. I have no idea why it's called Rexosaurus. In order to sort of keep costs down on shipping, I did place these, because I didn't actually own copies of these movies that I've picked up. And they were only like €6, so these were really cheap compared to, I think, about €30 for Necronomicon, because it's brand new, just been released. These had been out for a while, and I'm guessing they were trying to shift old stock, so it was only about €6. So I picked up Dr. Mordred, and I haven't read too much into this, but I believe it may have been originally written as a Doctor Strange movie, but potentially, I think Charles Band of Full Moon Films potentially lost the rights to release it as a Doctor Strange, or never had them in the first place. I'm not too sure, but it does have a lot of similarities to, imagine if Doctor Strange was made in the early 90s, this is pretty much what you would have got. So the fact that it's called Rexosaurus and you only see this T-Rex skeletal structure come alive for maybe 2 minutes towards the end fighting a Triceratops, I have no idea why they've called it that, but yeah, fair enough. Now that I've changed the room out into A to Z, I'm wrestling with, do I put it under R's or do I put it under D's for Dr. Mordred? So, yeah, first world problems. And then I also picked up another Jeffrey Combs Full Moon feature, Castle Freak, and I do love this movie. I think for the budget, I think this is amazing. Stuart Gordon as well, and Barbara Crampton as Jeffrey Combs' wife, and basically they inherit an old castle from a deceased old aunt, and it turns out that she's been keeping her son alive in one of the sort of cells in the dungeon of the castle, and he does break free. He's a sort of a hideous, deformed sort of human creature, and yeah, there's a few sort of grisly deaths in it as well, which quite blew me by surprise. Really, I wasn't expecting the amount of gore in it. So yeah, Castle Freak, I'd never owned a copy of it, but I think it's one of the better full moon features that has come out, and probably down to Jeffrey Combs and Stuart Gordon. I mean, those two are legends in the sort of horror community. I also grabbed a newer movie, Bloodsucking Bastards. Now, I do already own a copy of this on Local Blue. I got that in the sale a few years ago. But again, this was €6, and I loved the artwork on it. I thought, that is awesome. So I got the media book of it, and yeah, I thought, why not add it to the collection for that price? Yeah, so that's very cool. So Bloodsucking Bastards, I've only seen it once. I don't remember it fully from start to finish, so I may give this another go when I've got time. Now, last but not least, I ordered another German media book. Now, this one was from Nameless Media, and this one is an absolute just horror. It really is. I loved it, absolutely loved it, but some scenes are so horrific in it. It's actually an Australian movie, and Germany's the first country that have released it. Even here in Australia, you can't buy this yet in the shops. I think it may be coming out late February, maybe March. I'm not too sure when it's released. So yeah, Germany actually got the release first, and oh my god, it's some of the scenes in it are so horrific. You can see here, this came with 4 different covers, and I chose this collector's edition that has the scene where one of the psychopath serial killers is pushing an axe into the side of a young lady's face. Now, if you are squeamish, guys, you want to stay away from this movie, because that scene just keeps going and going. It's it's not in slow motion, but it's certainly not a fast action. It's yeah, it was pretty hard to stomach, really. And I thought, for the budget, I mean, it is a low budget movie, but some of the effects in it, the practical effects, were so gory. And it's only short. I mean, it was only on for about an hour and 20 minutes, so it flew by. Some of the acting, especially from one young lady, was a bit cringing, a bit questionable. But the gore and the actual practical effects were just very, very impressive. So The Furies, if you do sort of like the sound of a sort of horror-esque Hunger Games, where women are trying to survive an onslaught of deranged serial killers wearing different skins, then this is the movie for you. Kind of opens it up to a potential sequel as well, so who knows if this makes enough money. I think it was well received at Fright Fest. I think it showed at a horror convention as well, and it was well received. So I'm very happy that I was able to pick this up earlier than this own country gets it. And guys, as I said, it is very, very gory. So yeah, that was The Furies. Very happy with that one. So guys, that was it for German media books. I also picked up a few box sets. So we'll start with the Daniel Craig 4K collection. So they have just announced that they're releasing the steelbooks, the individual steelbooks of these movies on 4K. Now, I was holding off to see what the artwork was going to be like on them. I'm not a big fan of what they've presented. I don't mind the actual like Daniel Craig imagery on the steelbooks. There's a different pose for each one. But everything else is just so dull. It's just one single colour. The back artwork on the steelbooks is completely plain. There's nothing on them at all. They just look lazy, in my opinion. So JB Hi-Fi here in Australia, to celebrate controversial holiday, Australia Day, they had 30% off everything. So this was down to only 55 Australian dollars. So guys, I mean, you imagine if you're watching this in America, that's even cheaper. For all 4 Daniel Craig movies in 4K, Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, Skyfall, and Spectre. So I haven't watched these yet, but I am looking forward to doing them again, especially Casino Royale and Skyfall. I haven't seen them for a few years. absolutely adore them. I think they're amazing. So I'm holding off actually watching this now until No Time to Die is about to drop at the cinema, and then I will give this a go. I'll watch all 4 of them. I just picked it up early just because it was so cheap, $55. I mean, if I order one of those steel books from Zavvi, it's going to cost me $55 just for the one. So I thought that was an absolute bargain. So very happy to start a James Bond 4K collection with that one. Now, another box set I had on order from France. This one was ordered quite a while ago when it was first announced, and it is Sam Raimi's Evil Dead Trilogy. So I think this one's limited to 1,500 in the world, and it is a French release. What made me order this one primarily was it does come with the first movie in 4K, and I don't own the first movie in 4K. I own Evil Dead 2 in 4K. I think it was a Studio Canal release, maybe. I'm not too sure. But I do own Evil Dead 2 in 4K, but I didn't own the first one, so I thought this box set is worth getting. It would have been nice to have them all in 4K, especially Army of Darkness, but at the moment it was nice to just be able to pick up this box set and have all 3 together and have the first one in 4K. So inside it did come with a very, very nicely presented hardback book with some absolutely awesome images inside it, which is very cool. You can tell there's a lot of love that's gone into this book. And if only I read French, then I'd be able to find out exactly what they're writing about. But it does look like a beautiful book. So anybody out there who picked this up in France, or anybody out there who can read French, yeah, that would be a nice read. It also came with a board game as well, like here's the fold-out board, which is unusual for these type of releases. It's not often they come out with games, but it came with a fold-out board and these pieces as well, these sort of character pieces, and instructions in French, which are no good to me, so I'm not quite sure how you even play this game. I might be able to figure it out, trial and error, but I don't think I'll ever be playing that. But it's a neat little addition. You don't often find that in these type of box sets, and this was the digipack that released, which is very cool. So inside here they present the original sort of posters and artwork for each disc, so this is a very, very cool book. Inside here, so there's Evil Dead in 4K, which I'm looking forward to watching. I think it was shot on 16mm, so I'm not sure how much better the 4K is going to really, bring to the movie, but I'm willing to give it a go. It's an absolute masterpiece. And then we've got just the Blu-ray release, supplement material, special features, and then we've got Evil Dead 2 on Blu-ray. So that's the actual artwork that the Steelbook released of. It's so amazing. And then we've got, again, artwork that I had on VHS. My early Evil Dead VHS had that artwork. So, and then we go into Army of Darkness. So it's a very, very cool edition if you are an Evil Dead fan. Even though it's not sort of a complete definitive set for what's available out there, I think they've done a nice job. It's a nice edition. And I know another friend here in Australia who also picked this one up. He's very happy with it as well. So he's actually going to put his 4K release of Evil Dead 2 in this box just to make it more complete. So very, very cool. So that one was from France. I picked that up from ESC Distribution. So yeah, very cool. Now I also grabbed the Scream Factory's Fly collection. So I hadn't actually seen the originals, but I have seen the Cronenberg one many, many times, and the sequel once years ago. So I was happy to pick this up, and I actually did a marathon one week. I actually did all 5, and the original Fly blew me away. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. It was in colour for the time. I think it's late 50s maybe. So that one was presented in colour. It had one of my favourites in it. It had Vincent Price. I think this was actually before he became known for his horror movies, so he doesn't have a main role. He does only have sort of a bit part in it. He's got such a great voice. So I really did enjoy The Fly. I thought it was a very sort of romantic gothic horror, and it was very upsetting in places. So yeah, that was great. Return of the Fly I didn't think was as good. It does focus on the scientist's son, similar to what The Fly 2 does, the remake. Curse of the Fly I didn't like at all. It had nothing to do with a human transforming into an insect or a fly. Basically, Curse of the Fly, they've just got the teleportation pods to work, and they're transmitting people. They're sending people across the planet, basically from one side to the other, and basically everybody who goes through is starting to become deformed in some way. Their bodies are changing and becoming defective. They're getting scars on their bodies. They're not really turning into insects. So the fact that it is called Curse of the Fly, I feel like it was just trying to capitalize. They'd made a cheap, cheesy B-movie sci-fi, and they were just trying to capitalize on the actual series. But obviously that ended the run of movies until Cronenberg came out with this absolute masterpiece. I have seen this probably 4 or 5 times, and it is incredible. Second favourite sci-fi horror remake after John Carpenter's The Thing. I think The Thing just pips The Fly, but this is incredible. It's gory body horror at its best, it really is. And Jeff Goldblum, or Brundlefly, is incredible. His transformation is heartbreaking. It's horrific. When his body parts start falling off. Gina Davis, the sort of reporter love interest, she has to go through the whole transformation with him. It's horrific. And I actually watched the special features of that because I love the movie so much, and it had some deleted scenes which I thought were very good. I'd never seen before. They were actually very good to watch, and an alternate ending which I'm glad they changed. The alternate ending actually had Gina still pregnant at the end, but her baby's turning into a butterfly, which I thought, no, that's a terrible ending. I'm glad they changed it. And then The Fly 2, not a brilliant sequel. I remembered watching this again, I realised why I'd only seen it once growing up. It's not great. Eric Stoltz, old early Marty McFly, he's McFly. He's turning into another fly. He's inherited the genes basically from Jeff Goldblum, so he starts transforming. And the creature towards the end, when we actually see the creature in full effect, it's a little bit laughable. It's not really scary. So out of this box set, the original Fly and the remake of the Fly are really the two that are the standout. But it's a beautiful box, and with their Scream Factory releases, they tend to just get more and more valuable as time goes on. I know the Halloween set they released goes for stupid money on eBay. It really does. Some people are trying to flog it for like $1,000. So it's always good to pick up these Scream Factory box sets on first release, because there's a chance they will increase in value, which is awesome. I also got the Omen box set similar to this as well a couple of months ago. So yeah, very happy that Scream did the Fly collection. Now guys, I also picked up 2 other big box sets from Germany, and one of them arrived in this box here, this empty box, Breaking Bad, complete collection. So this doesn't actually feature the El Camino movie. That hasn't been released on physical yet. Hopefully it does, but this is just the complete series on Blu-ray. So this was the empty box, and what arrived was, now you ready for a laugh? This Playmobil truck here. Now, it does look cheap and it does look tacky. I'm not delusional, guys. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, my God, this is amazing. It does look like a cheap toy, cheap plastic toy. But the fact that somebody out there decided to release Breaking Bad in the Methmobile, I think needs applauding. I think in this day and age, when they could just come up with something boring, just another sort of cardboard box. I mean, they've been released before. It's not as nice as the Barrel collection that came out, I'll be perfectly honest, and it does look and feel like a cheap toy. But at the same time, for me as a collector of interesting and unique and funny box sets like this, I think it's great. I really do, despite all the tackiness. The back flips open to reveal a pack of blue meth. Thank you very much. Luckily that got through customs. And then in the back we've also got the actual box set itself with all the Blu-rays in. So I haven't opened it yet. I do already have the Barrel box set, but I picked this up because I thought it would look nice next to it. And it's just something different, something novel. And in this day and age of physical media, the fact that they're still choosing to release editions in unique packaging like this, I think does need applauding. So yeah, that, guys, was Breaking Bad complete set in the Methmobile. So that's that's going to look cool on the shelf. So very, very happy, even despite it does look a bit cheap. Now, another edition I picked up from Germany, which again I'm not completely happy with, I'm a hard man to please, is this Aquaman edition. So this box here is of Aquaman. Now, what the DC EU universe have done is, since the start, since Man of Steel, they've released limited editions that come with a statue, a model of the main character. So this was the last one that actually got a release, and it was exclusive to Germany. I know ones in the past have been released on Zavi, they've been released on Amazon, UK and US. This Aquaman edition was the only one to be released, and it was an exclusive to Germany. So here is the model of Aquaman that came with the release. Okay, it's not too bad. It's got some weight to it. The actual base, if I can just move my hand there, the actual base looks very cool with the actual text as well. The costume, Aquaman's costume, looks quite nice and detailed. There's some weight to it. His face looks a little bit peculiar. I don't think I trust him to save Atlantis. But the model itself, I am disappointed with, and I'll explain in just a second. It did come with a steelbook of Aquaman, which I don't own a copy of this steelbook, so that was a bonus, the fact that it does have that artwork on that steelbook, so that's cool. Now, the reason I am a little disappointed with this model, and I'll just move the camera slightly, guys, is the size of it. It's tiny compared to the other releases that I think it was a company called Muckle Mannequins. Yeah, Muckle Mannequins have made these. I mean, I knew they weren't going to be the same quality as, you know, Hot Toys or any of the other, you know, very, you know, expensive premium sideshow collectible type models. But compared to the others, it's a bit of a letdown. Now, if I bring over, because I've got these here to present during this video, bring over Man of Steel. Already you can see a difference in size. And if I bring over, there was another Superman for Batman versus Superman. There was also a Batman as well, so bring over Batman too. Basically, poor Aquaman in the center. He looks more like Aquaboy, he really does. So I've collected everyone so far. Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman, there was a Wonder Woman, and I also brought over the Suicide Squad ones as well. They haven't released one for Shazam, and I think they're going to stop now after this one, otherwise that would be out by now. But just looking at the size of Aquaman there in the center, poor little guy. I mean, the fact the character gets quite ridiculed anyway, I mean, that's just a bit of a bit of a disappointment for him. Jason did such a good job with the character as well. I thought they really did sort of make him cool again. But this model, to have them all in a row on the shelf, and then you've got poor Aquaman at the end just looking all sorry for himself, that's why I'm disappointed, guys. It's just, it doesn't match the other models, and the fact it was more expensive than the rest of them as well. It was much more expensive than these Superman editions. It really was. And the kicking the balls even more was the fact that Amazon Germany don't even ship to Australia anymore, so I paid even more for the shipping to get it here. Now, I am a completionist. I knew I didn't need this one for the DC collection, just to keep the full set, so I was, I don't want to say happy, but I knew I had to pay extra for the shipping, so I did get this sent to my lovely mother in the UK, who then forwarded this on to me here in Australia. So I did pay like 2 lots of shipping to have this arrive, and then, yeah, seeing how small it actually is in person, it was a bit of a letdown. But at least the set is complete now, and yeah, so Aquaboy join the collection, so that at least that's complete, so that's cool. Now, 2 last editions, guys, 2 last editions, bust editions, and we'll jump on because we are getting quite late now. One of them was from France, and that was for Zombie, George A. Romero's Dawn of the Dead masterpiece. So this bust was from ESC Distribution in France, the same place I got my Hellraiser bust from last year. And now that was the outer box for it, so I will bring over the bust. Now, there was a lot of people online, on the website at least, weren't too happy with this finished bust. It was more the colouring. They didn't really like the colouring on the bust. Now, I think it's fantastic. I think to model a bust on a humanoid character like this, I think would be very difficult, and I think they've done an absolutely amazing job. I really do. So this is the Machete Zombie from the movie, and I think he looks just like the character straight out of the movie. I think they've done a great job. And the colouring as well. I mean, the zombies, the colouring in George A. Romero's movies are similar to this. So the title looks great. It does say Dawn of the Dead also at the bottom. It's got some weight to it. It's very heavy as well. The machete you can remove and put back in the head, which is cool. And the 4-disc Blu-ray release is in the base, which I always enjoy with these editions. When you can actually put the box inside the model, it makes the model a true box set. So yeah, that's something I've always loved. So that there is the box, and it does have 4 versions of the movie. European version, the director's cuts version. It looks like it's got a Cannes Film Festival version, a long version. I think that's the one that's on for maybe nearly 3 hours, and a full frame European edition as well. So there's 4 different ways to watch Old Dawn of the Dead, and it is an absolute classic. It really is. So that's an awesome edition again from France. Not quite sure how many of these busts they did actually make, but it is still available on the website, the ESC distribution website. So that, guys, is an awesome bust that has arrived, and believe it or not, it's not my favourite bust of the month because 2 did turn up. So I will move him aside to show you the final edition of this month, this video. And this, guys, I am over the moon with this one. I cannot believe this exists. 10-year-old me was so excited when this arrived, and it is Short Circuit, number 5 Lipt. Number 5 Lives, a bust of Johnny 5. So again, this is the outer box. Now, this was from Germany, from Nameless Media, and they only made 222 of these, so I'm very happy I was able to secure one. And I'll bring over the bus now. I don't want to drop him. I'd be devastated if old Johnny 5 broke. And here he is, number 5. Johnny 5 is alive. So the fact that one of my favourite childhood movies, and I've watched this so many times, I watched it again when this bust arrived, the fact that somebody out there has decided to make a limited edition of Short Circuit and actually release it in a box that has a model of Johnny 5, it's like a childhood dream come true, really is, to have this on the shelf. Back when I was a kid collecting videos, if somebody told me one day there's going to be a model of Johnny 5 with the movie in it, I'd have told them no way. But somebody did it, and I am so happy they did. So the detailing's awesome. It's arrived perfect. Nothing was damaged. There is a lot of magnetic pieces that fit together, his arms and also the base as well. So I think these bust manufacturers have realised shipping these editions in order to sort of combat breakages in delivery, they've started making pieces magnetic, which I think is a great idea. So yeah, Johnny 5 arrived perfect, and we've got the media book in the base. Again, if I can just slot him out. So that's the media book for the Short Circuit edition. Again, like I say, I watched this again. Steve Guttenberg's great in it, Ali Sheed. Absolutely love this movie, I really do. And I love the sequel too, in New York. I think that's just as good. 1 and 2, they're a fantastic double bill for a Sunday afternoon. So yeah, guys, that is my final bust edition. Only 222 made, and I think it may be sold out now. Unfortunately, I'm not surprised something like this would just disappear immediately because it is so amazing. So that, guys, is it for this month. So I hope you have enjoyed it once again. I appreciate everybody who is watching these videos. I know a lot of you out there, guys, you always comment, you watch these every month, and you know, there's a lot of names out there to mention, and I do appreciate, guys, you watching. I won't mention them, won't mention all the names. I'll be here a while, but it means the world to me knowing that you do tune in every month. It makes it worthwhile doing these videos. So thanks again, and yeah, if you've enjoyed it, you know, tune in next time for February's video. So yeah, thanks guys, have a good month, and I will see you next time. Cheers, bye.